Neutral density filters, we all love them. They're marvelous things. They enable us to take some really cool shots. Now, if you don't know what a neutral density filter is, then I suggest you go and watch this video that's linked on screen right now. Neutral density filters, they're like sunglasses for your camera. They take away light so that you can use a slower shutter speed. Well, why would you want to do that? It's so that you can create slow shutter speeds so you can play around with effects of movement. But neutral density filters, they all create color casts on your images. And a lot of people have asked me, well, what custom white balance should I use? What should I do on my camera to get rid of the color cast? Now, what that will be depends entirely upon your neutral density filter, because they're all going to have different ones. I use a Lee Big Stopper. That's what I got in my hand here. It's very, very dark. It's about a 10 stop neutral density filter. It tends to make things blue. So what we're doing is we've come out to my little local parks, pretty little environment as you can see, and I'm just going to do a little experiment to show you how to find out for yourself what you need to set. There's also two ways you can go about this. You can either set a custom white balance, and it's a good idea to do that because then you're pretty close to being correct, but then I would recommend you then color correct properly using a program such as Lightroom, so you're working on the raw file. If you're only shooting JPEGs and you've got to do it in the camera, I strongly recommend you make your own JPEGs. So what is the shot I'm thinking of? Well, I'll show you more in a moment, but basically, look, we've got these flower beds. They're all kind of running off up and down here, and I thought it'd make a nice shot to see if I can get a bit of movement from these little tiny grasses that are just sitting there. There's hardly any breeze today at all. But with luck, those tiny movements, if I use a slow enough shutter speed, they'll record as blur. The rest of the park and the flower beds will all be nice and sharp. We're going for a subtle look here. I'll show you in a minute. Oh, by the way, sorry viewers, I don't have a camera operator here today, so I'm going to wobble you around again. If I can find the button, I will. Good, we're rolling. Okay, so here's the DSLR. We're already set up. You didn't need to see me setting that up. Obviously, you've got to use a tripod with a big stopper. Now, these little bits of movement that we're getting in these grasses is what I want to record. Let's just see if I can show you my shot in video land. There we go. So there you go, you can see these grasses here, they're just kind of wobbling around a little bit. I don't want to wobble too much, they're probably wobbling too much for what I really want now. But that movement is what I want to capture with the big stopper. Let's just stop that and get the camera back into normal camera mode. So the white balance thing, what's going on here? Let's just set an ordinary sunny white balance and take our shot. Now I happen to know, because I've already done my research, because perfect planning prevents piss poor performance in theory, that if I use 60th f11, I got about the right exposure. There we go. Now I'm using a sunny white balance and that's the colour. It's about right because it's sunny. But if I pop in my big stopper and take the same shot and don't change the white balance, what we're going to have is going to take some of the yellows out because the big stopper is a bit blue. So let's change the exposure, 10 stops of light coming out. Now go and watch the how to use an ND filter. You can either calculate this on your fingers like I do, which is going to give me about a 15-second long exposure, or you can use the little card that comes with your Lee filter, or depending on what other brand of camera you use, just use the calculation method that they give you. So let's take our big stopper shot at the same white balance. This isn't the best time of day to be doing this shot because the sun's a bit high, there's people walking around. But you know, it's an experiment. It's all stuff that you can do in any park. Just go find somewhere and you can teach yourself how to get your white balance working. So here we go. Now you can see blue in the shot. There's also a bit of lens flare sneaking in where the sun's hitting the front of the filter. It's all right, I'm going to put my hand there and shade it when we do the next shot. So how do we get rid of this blue color cast? Well, a custom white balance preset, you can dial it in and increase the number of degrees Kelvin. That'll push in more yellow and that will counteract the blue that this filter has just added to the shot. All you have to do is go into your white balance, just scroll through to Kelvin. Here we go, white balance Kelvin. I've already got it set on a 10,000 degree Kelvin. A daylight setting would be around 5,000, so just wind it around, just set it to around about 10,000 Kelvin. That's a really good starting point. So let's just take the shot again and go for it. So we're now using the custom preset, the 10,000 degrees Kelvin. We've taken it, we're going to pop back, we're going to have a look at the sunny white balance preset. And you should see we're now pulling a little bit of that blue cast out with the 10,000 degree Kelvin. So here's our shot. Our little grasses have gone bonkers, they're all over the place, they look like a cloud. Now here's our sunny white balance. Here's the sunny white balance with the Lee stopper, so it's gone bluey coloured. And then here's the big stopper, but with the 10,000 degree Kelvin custom setting. And it's gone back to look far more like the sunny preset. So that's one way of doing it. But remember folks, it depends entirely on what your big stopper, what your ND filter is. They're all different. They're all going to have different amounts, and you're going to need to just go out, go find a park, set up a little experiment like this and play with it. 10,000 degrees K is probably a good place to go, but again, depends entirely upon your particular neutral density filter. But my preferred method would probably be to set a custom white balance. 10,000 Kelvin's a good starting point, but what I would tend to do is I would just use one of these, a grey card, and I'd pop it into the shot like this, and I'd take a test shot. It doesn't matter if it's blurry, and I also should be shading the lens, shouldn't I, to get rid of, see, all you've got to do is put your hand there, and it will take off that lens flare. I've got to put a shadow across the big stopper. I think, has it done it? Has it cooked? No, there we go. So now what I've got is my grey card. I can take a white balance reference off that in Lightroom. I then take my shot that I actually want. Let's just make sure I'm putting a good shadow on here. I think I am. That should be good there. Let's just take my shot. I think there's far too much movement in those grasses. It's got a little bit more windy. And then what I would do is take the first shot with the grey card, and I'll just bung that white balance onto it. But a good starting point is a good place to begin. So there's my shot, there's the grey card, we just copy the two across. There you go guys, hope that's given you a little exercise to go play with. Just play around with it, get yourself au fait with it. See you later.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified each time we upload one of our cool photography videos, or for more great photo tips, workshops and training, come and see us at our website, photographycourses.biz.